What's up, Dills and Heartless? This is Pick Williams, longtime listener of the podcast. Today, what I've brought for you guys is a song that I made in preparation for Raids 3. If you listen carefully, you could probably pick up the Al-Kharid theme throughout the song. My vision of the song is more or less traveling through the desert to get to the new Raids area. So without further ado, here is 10GP.
Welcome to episode 213 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm Dills, and joining with me today is Heartless.
Hey.
All right, so this is a bit of a quieter week. They come in waves, but we basically just got some tweaks. Nothing too exciting, to be honest. But some of the more exciting news to talk about is the PvP Rewards 2.0 poll results came in, and oh boy, is it looking good. On top of that, they also released another survey in regards to permanent Deadman mode, because there is a permanent Deadman mode server that never gets reset. So, they were doing a seasonal Deadman mode that happened, that got reset like every 3 or 4 months, and then they really slowed down. But we've had this permanent Deadman mode that was always going, and they've basically had a little survey talking about that, which has the community who loves permanent Deadman mode feeling pretty mixed. So that's always fun. But Heartless, how have things been going on your end?
It's report card week, so I haven't got to play much. Dropped a couple redwoods, and that's pretty much it.
Report cards, is that fun?
No, it's not fun, Dills. It's awful.
Thought it would
be.
Just
it's not like difficult work. It's just time consuming. You really have to sit down and like power through them. It's what it's like? It's like writing an essay. If you ever went to university or college or something, it's like writing an essay. The research is all done. You've got all your marks on your side. You've done all your research. Now you just have to put it together, and you know exactly what you need to do and pretty much what you need to say. But it's just going to take ages to get that 5,000 words down onto the page. That's the feeling that it's like for report cards, except it's like, 25,000 word reports on each of these kids.
Oh my! You don't have to just give them like an A, B, C, D, or F.
No, you got to like write comments for each different section, and it just takes forever. Like obviously some of them are formulaic, so I can like copy paste if 2 kids that have like similar things. But if 2 other kids are like wildly different, then you got to change up how you use your words. So
yeah, that's fair. There's a show in Canada. I guess maybe it's around the world. I don't really know. It's called Mr. D. Have you seen that show?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. It's like if Michael Scott was a teacher. And I remember he had a thing about report cards. And what you have to do is you give them a compliment, but you end it with like, this is how they got to do better. So they do really good on tests, but they talk too much in class. They're very, very sociable, but they can't pay attention.
That's just pretty common about giving people like constructive criticism,
Start off high and
well,
low.
you like want to compliment people on like what they're good at, but then also tell them what they can work on. So yeah, it's no different with report cards. But in my opinion, as a teacher, like if I like to talk to the parents a lot throughout the year, so if the report card is a surprise, then I haven't done my job properly, or they haven't been communicating well either. Because you should really like be aware of like how they're doing in school. But if you don't show up to the parent-teacher interview and you don't take my emails seriously or anything, then that's also on the parents at some point. So, but then likely they won't really give a shit what I write on the report cards. So, but I mean, most of them are good. So, anyways, generally optimistic, dude. We had actually a fun event today that I planned for the school.
Oh, cool! Another event. Oh my god.
Yeah, I did it. This was like a lunchtime thing, so it was teachers versus grade 5s.
Oh, did the grade 5s get destroyed?
I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit. May have let them get through a few times.
Few bloody
But I mean,
noses.
there's three of us that played soccer, and then the rest of the teachers just kind of peg legging it out there as best as they could. And they had 12 kids on, and we had like 10 adults, so they had definitely, or maybe even 13. And there's two teams of grade 5s that were so stoked to take us down. There's some trash talk going on. It was really fun. And then we had the music teacher had like his big speakers out, just blasting some nice pop dance music, So basically the whole school was on the side watching, and they had like little boards like "Go Teachers" or "Go Students." It was really fun, man. Nice community event.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time. I wish you were my teacher. It sounds like a lot of fun. I didn't get to go on many field trips or have too many school events.
I mean, this is like after COVID. It was just kind of a last minute thing, and I'm really, really glad we did it. Everyone had a lot of fun, especially the kids.
Did you guys win, or did the kids win?
Yeah, technically a teacher's won, but there were so many goals scored that we just said, "Oh, it's a tie."
Fair enough.
Classic teacher move.
And you see who failed math. That's what you do afterwards. Whoever agrees, you're like,
exactly.
It was a test you failed.
Yeah, that's right. So it was pretty fun, man.
Not bad. And I guess do you look forward to the summer?
There is okay. One thing from the game. So I do play a lot of soccer, and I used to be very good before my ankle got shattered in a pretty terrible injury when I was younger. But I've been playing my whole life, and there was another guy at the school who also has been playing his whole life, so he's at a similar level to me, but doesn't play like competitively anymore. Same age. So I ran down the wing past this little kid, and I saw him in the middle, and I just chipped the ball, like floated one in, and he went for the full bicycle kick.
Oh shit!
Which is a pretty insane move. So he went for the full bike and he missed.
Oh,
it would have been a highlight reel play from the other grade 1 teacher.
Next time, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was fun. I just couldn't believe he actually went for it. Like it's a pretty acrobatic move.
Yeah, that would have been sweet. That would like destroy the morale of the kids team.
But I even planned next week. I have 2 field trips, so I'm going to be toasty by next Thursday when we record. I'll be getting back from a trip, so I'll go over how well they went and stuff. But
so wait, your class is just getting the back-to-back field trips. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, the BCB for sure. Yeah, 2 purples in 1 week.
Jesus, damn.
Well, we have 2 days in between, but yeah, Monday we have a trip. We're going to the water park.
Oh wow!
And then Tuesday, Wednesday we're back at school, and then Thursday is the beach day. So
that's the beach day. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be big.
Oh boy!
Lots of sunscreen for my fair skin.
Oh yeah, you got to slap that on.
All right, we move on. Yeah, but RuneScape, I did nothing. What about you?
Well, actually, this has been a little bit more eventful. I was about to say I had nothing, but I've been playing a lot more on my Pure, just because there's a whole craze with the PvP arena coming out. That's not really what happened. I was just I felt like playing my Pure, and then on Reddit, someone had made a post about how much money they were making at the Grand Exchange from PKing, and they made a post about it. So I was like just lurking through it. And I made some sort of comment about how hard GE PKing is versus like Rev PKing. So that's where I go. So I have a 1 defense Pure. Most people know what a Pure is, but basically a Pure is just an account that's optimized for PKing. So low defensive stats, very high offensive stats. So you're like a glass cannon. You're usually a low combat level, but you can deal a ton of damage. But in turn, you take a lot of damage. So I've been doing a lot of Rev caves, which is stuck in the middle of the wilderness, basically. And it's kind of like a tri-Bridding style. So you do a bit of range. You'll try to maybe spec them out to kill them with melee. And then you bring some mage as well to teleblock and maybe throw some fire surges. But there's not really any... It's all about who can survive, basically. So you're throwing on your protection prayers and you're just trying... You have no problem safing up. But... the Grand Exchange PvPing is basically just 1v1s. So you're not using all 3 combat styles. You're basically using 1, maybe 2. You might use range and then go into melee to KO them. But it's always been so much harder. It's very daunting because it's so quick. People who tend to PK there are like really, really good, it seems. And anytime I'd step into the Grand Exchange, I would get like one tick KO'd. Like they're just very good. And the fights there are so quick. Whereas Rev Caves, they kind of last longer because trying to kill them, but you're trying not to die. GEP King, it's like you don't care if you die, you're going all in. You just hope you.
Yeah, you don't use brews or you don't take brews for like longevity to like tank telly blocks. You're just hard food.
Yeah, you're just trying to like, you go in, you spec them out. If you don't kill them, you're probably going to teleport out because your spec's gone and you're not going to kill them. Rev Caves, if you run out of spec, you're still going to try to kill them. You're going to hope you can wear them down so they have no food. I've always wanted to learn GEP King, but I never did because of how hard it was to learn and just how hard it was to get into. It was very accessible. Anywho, so this guy made a post on Reddit. I basically said that spiel I just said there, talking about how I really like Rev Caves P King, but I find GEP King so hard. And this dude tells me to add him up. So I add him on Reddit, but then we add each other in game and on Discord. And he's like, hey, I'll teach you how to PK. So we go to the duel arena. You can still use the duel arena, just no one's there. And he was like teaching me, we jumped on voice chat and he was teaching me how to like do a Granite Mall spec combo and all these different little tricks for GEP King. He was like walking me through how you would do it. He probably showed me for like an hour or so. We were just like fighting each other and practicing and all this stuff. And I was getting the hang of it. And then afterwards, I was telling him that one of the reasons I don't like GEP King is because kind of what I said, it's so hard to learn. You die so quick. But that also means you're losing a bunch of money. So it's like, it's hard to do the Grand Exchange P King when you're dying just every 30 seconds or so. It's hard to get better. So that's what I was telling him. That's why I don't do it. So the dude friggin' at the end gives me like 10 mil worth of gear. And he just gives me 10 mil and he says, I want you to use all of this stuff. Like, don't worry about risking it. I want all this gear that I'm giving you to be used. I want you to risk it. And if you're going to lose it, go ahead and lose it at the Grand Exchange. Like, I don't want you selling it and then transferring all that gold over. I want you to use this gear to like practice. I was like asking him why, why are you teaching me? Like, why are you spending this? Like, it's just a random person off Reddit. Why are you spending this time teaching me? And why are you just dropping me a bunch of money? He was mentioning that he has like a ton of money. He just like, he does really well at the Grand Exchange, like PKing. But what he really wants is he wants more people to get into like GEP King. He says it's like a small community of people. It's really sad. I was like, this is the state of PvP right now. It's actually I felt sad for him. But he was saying like the community is so small, he just wants more people to do it. And he hopes that like if I get into it and I start loving it, maybe eventually I'll find someone and be like, oh, you have to try it too. I'll teach you how to do it. But he just wants new faces to start PKing at the Grand Exchange because it's only like it's the same people all the time. So I went there and I was learning and I've been dying a lot, but it's been a lot of fun. And I'm able to fare now. Like I can actually stand on my own for the most part. I still die, but I don't die right away. But I've been doing it for like this week. And it really does feel like it's like a very small community of people that do it. Way smaller than I thought there was. You know, I watch a lot of PvP streamers on Twitch and stuff. And it looks like they're always getting into fights and whatnot. But it's such a small community. You start fighting the same people all the time. That's what was happening to me. I would go to the Grand Exchange on a Monday. I'd see this group of people. I would go on a Wednesday. There's like a few new faces, but basically the same people. You know, if we finish this podcast now and I go to the Grand Exchange, I have a feeling I'm going to see a lot of the same people there. And it's like not a whole lot. There's like maybe 10, 15 people, tops, I guess, in my bracket. But I was surprised to see how small that community is. It kind of ties in with like the PvP rewards. So there's been a lot of backlash recently because they've been trying to bring out these items. They've restricted the polls. People didn't like it. Then they brought it out a second time, restricted the polls even heavier. People really didn't like it. And there's been this like divide between, it's basically PvPers and then everyone else. There's like a divide though. There's like a lot of, there's a divide between those two players. And I think there always has been, to be honest. I think it's just kind of the nature of those things. And but you see a lot of fighting between people who don't like PvP and people who love PvP. Like there's a lot of like intense fighting on Twitter and like and the subreddit and whatnot. And they brought out this PvP Discord, feedback Discord server that I've been looking at. It's about all these PvPers talking about stuff. And it's kind of interesting to get a little bit of insight into the deeper PvP community because they talk amongst themselves. I can't chat, but I can watch them. It's like a text podcast. I can just watch people discuss things. And sometimes it can feel like some of the player, like the majority of players are preventing PvP content from coming in. Just because sometimes it seems like people are spite voting. I think it's debatable. I think sometimes it might be a little bit, but I think it does get blown out of proportion. But there's a few times I can point to that I couldn't understand why something like this would fail because it seemed just like a neutral good. Neutral good? It seemed like a net good to bring it into the game, and it would still fail. The example I'm thinking of is free-to-play Teleblock. They pitched it like 3 times, and it always failed. By like a fair margin too. And then eventually they just brought it as an integrity change because they realized it probably should be free to play.
And that's sadly just how that's really the only way PvP updates come into the game is integrity changes.
Like yes and no. Like we do get new PvP weapons, but they always come from PVM content. Like the new Zeros or the new Ancient God Sword is basically a PvP weapon and it comes from Nex. But when I'm reading on this Discord, it really like I don't know if I want to say it opened my eyes, but it made me kind of like reflect. And Jagex really wants the PvP community to thrive, which is fair. It's a great marketing point for RuneScape. Like some of the top Twitch streamers, some of the top YouTube channels are PvP content creators, and then it also gives them space to do like these weird esports things, like Deadman mode, and they had like this PvP All Stars that they did before too, and those are always quite popular. A lot of people watch those, so they want it to thrive, and they're trying sometimes. But on the other hand, like they have done so much to actually like sever the PvP community, which you don't think about because it's like a slow bleed. But they have literally like the choices they've made have killed off so much of the PvP community that, like, as I was thinking about it, it's akin to like if Jagex just if they just randomly removed like Chambers of Xeric one day because it was being too heavily bot farmed or something. And then they just kept doing that where they would remove bosses but never added bosses down the road. So we had this thing called Bounty Hunter. And it was basically like what you see at the Grand Exchange, these 1v1 fights, but it was in Edgeville. But what would happen is you would be given a target and it would say, hey, we want you to kill this person. If you killed them, you got an extra bonus reward of like this emblem that you could use for points, and you could eventually sell them for like 100K each. Or you could say, I don't want to fight that target. I want to fight just someone random. And you could still fight them. You just wouldn't win the emblem afterwards. But the difference between Bounty Hunter and the Grand Exchange as well is that the brackets were different. So like you would have the brackets were like a 1 to 4 level distance. So if I'm level 70, I could fight a level 74 or level 66. The Grand Exchange is like a 20 level difference. So when I go on my level 70, I am constantly being attacked by level 90s or high level 80s. I constantly get like rushed by someone who is just like such higher stats than me because he's 20 levels higher than me. And it's kind of brutal. Like I've died a few times because I was sitting there looking for someone to fight, and then this dude out of nowhere, 15 levels higher than me, can KO me so quickly because of his higher stats. Jagex ended up removing Bounty Hunter with the idea of bringing it back as a newer and improved version, but it got removed because it was being gold farmed, and that's what they said. It was being gold farmed, so they had to remove it.
Yeah, like really, really badly gold farmed.
Yeah, so it's been like, 2 years now, I think, since it was removed. And there's like not even talk of ever bringing it back. And that's like a huge community of people that no longer got to play that content. So a lot of people probably either quit or they moved on to other content or whatever it was. But it was much more casual at Bounty Hunter than it is at the Grand Exchange. And when I used to do it in like 2017, 2018. It was flooded with people all the time. You could find people. And a lot of people were like average skill. So I used to fight them and I sucked. And I used to get kills. I'm way better than I am today. I am way better today than I was back then. And I struggled to get kills at the Grand Exchange. So they ended up doing that. And then same with Rev Caves. So clans, so we have this place, the Rev Caves, I talked about it earlier, but it's this area that it's in the wilderness. You're supposed to be able to get a lot of money from PVMing there. And when it was first released, it dropped, the monsters there dropped so much money, like a lot of money. And the Rev Caves was in multi. So if you were fighting a monster, a clan of 20 people could show up and they would clear the Rev Caves. And then you would just hope you didn't get selected as someone who's going to die. You just try to get the fuck out of there with your loot. What ended up happening was clans would lock down worlds because we have 200 worlds at this point. We have a lot of worlds in the game. But they would lock down worlds and you would pay them money and they would make sure that nobody ever attacked you and you could just farm without anyone bothering you. So then Jagex was like, okay, that's got to stop. And they nerfed the Rev Caves so hard that they were like they weren't even good money. Like it was really bad money per hour. And they took away multi and made it the singles plus. So you could never get attacked by two people. You could only get attacked by one person. So the money was worse, but now you're a little bit safer as a PVMer. And then eventually went back and they kind of buffed it a little bit. So it's in an okay spot now. But a lot of multi-PKers, people who like to PK with a group of friends, they lost that piece of content. And now really the only place to do multi-PKing is at the wildy bosses or sort of the Chaos Altar. Because Chaos Altar's in this weird spot where it's both multi, you take a few steps out, it's singles though. So Jagex did that giant nerf to Rev Caves, which caused the multi-clanning community to lose possibly their favorite spot to PK. And now if you ever go try to PK in any of the wildy boss spots, it kind of sucks in comparison. Because the nice thing about Rev Caves is that when clans would show up and clear out the world, every now and then another clan would show up at the same time, and the two clans would have to fight it out. I remember being in that situation a few times. It was a lot of fun. But you don't really get that at any of the wildy bosses.
Well, I mean, the Rev Caves is so lucrative for money per hour. They were just camping worlds and real world trading all the money they made.
Yeah, when the clans would lock down worlds.
So the whole system worked on the fact that it was such good money per hour and it was quick cash money per hour. Not like something like Next, which is the best money per hour in the game, but in order for it to actually pay off, you have to spend lots of hours there to actually get the drop. Revs, you just get, what was it? Probably 1-2 mil an hour at the time. Oh
yeah, it was great money that you might have to teleport within 5 minutes of showing up, but it was worth it. You made a couple $100K.
Oh, it was probably more like 3 or 4 mil an hour, but whatever it was, it's let's say it's close to the best money per hour, and you can guarantee in your time there, it's consistent as well. You don't have to wait to get some drop to get paid out, but it's a food chain, right? You're incentivizing the PVMers to come out to start the chain, which incentivize PKers to come get them, small teams, then preying on the small teams is the medium teams, preying on the medium teams is those big ass clans. But the clans just decide, oh, you know what? Let's just stay here and just lock down all the worlds. And let's just pay Venezuelans to lock down the worlds for us. And then Venezuelans are like, oh, why are we working for these middlemen when we could just lock down the worlds ourselves? And then, yeah, full cycle.
On paper, that doesn't really seem like that big of a deal. Mainly because the way I would think of it is okay, well, if one clan's going to lock it down, what's stopping another clan from coming and taking them out? But then the problem is, that sort of stuff just happens in sandbox games. The problem is when you've got 200 worlds, it is really not that big of a deal for clans to be like, you grab that world, we're going to grab these worlds. Let's just stay the fuck away from each other. And it probably was more money for all of them all around. So Jagex nipped that in the butt and shut it all down by basically removing what the Rev Caves was and completely changing it to something else. I think it's an okay spot. It's in an okay spot now. But they did take out one of the most hottest places for multi PvPers to PK. So if you want to PK with your friends now, it kind of sucks. I've done it a few times, and you spend a lot of time just running around being like, I don't know where the fuck to go because there's nobody anywhere. And then we have this other thing, which was like kind of separate, but also not really separate. It was called Deadman Mode. And I mentioned Deadman Mode in permanent worlds, and I mentioned how that we had seasonals. But basically what would happen is we would get 3 months where you could log into this seasonal world and had accelerated experience rates. And the whole idea was that you could PK almost anywhere. And if you killed someone, you didn't just get their loot, but you got access to their entire bank. And it was like this 3 to 4 month activity that people would do, and then you would watch. And then it would all lead up to like this giant tournament where it'd be like everyone goes to the world, and then last one standing wins a bunch of money.
Yeah, which is like the PvP version of bingo, right? Like you get the week to. The problem is like the invitationals are really fun to watch and probably fun to compete in, especially for those people who love PvP and just like, I don't know, take a week off work and just degen it, kind of like people do with like a bingo or something like that. But if you make it last too long, I just think like the permanent worlds kind of suck because there's no way to step in. It's like you have to either commit early and be an enfranchised player, or you're just going to be pretty useless.
Yeah, like I would always try seasonal and I would always fall off. It's kind of like leagues. I would fall off because I just want to play the main game. But what this used to happen almost like nonstop. There would be like a few weeks in between, but whenever the tournament would end, like they call it the final hour, but it was always longer than an hour. But whenever that final tournament day would end, the seasonal would start the second the tournament was over. So that was the hype. You would watch the tournament, and then they would say at the end, all right, Deadman Worlds are open. And that first day of Deadman Mode is actually pretty fun because everyone's rushing, going to like the Gnome Stronghold to do the agility course, or they're rushing their 10K. They're all trying to like get a few levels higher than everyone else so that they could be the top of the food chain and they can just destroy all they want, everyone below. So it was like this giant race, and that was always fun, but I never stayed committed. But what has happened is we would get 3 of those a year. We don't get those at all anymore. Like they had a tournament 6 months ago that kind of fucked up due to like getting, was it DDoS? They ended up getting DDoSed, which.
Jules, I don't know about you. This might be a hot take, but I think the time of multi-clans is just kind of over. They're all pretty toxic. And like they all, not that PVMers don't real world trade too, but like, you think Rot exactly gives a shit about other players?
Well, we can't use Rot as the standard because Rot is this clan that is like.
I mean, they're the biggest they're one of the biggest multi clans though. I know there's a lot of other ones, but that's like kind of the standard when it comes to multi P. And basically, all they do now is lure people to multi and spear them and kill them for their bank. Like that's what they're up to these days.
For multi-clanning, we would do it as like a fun event on like a Saturday. A bunch of us get together. We'd go PvP. And I know there's a bunch of other, mid-tier or low-end PvP clans that just kind of did it casually, where it was Rot, and there's like a clan called Frontline, and there's a clan called I can't even remember. Blazers, whatever. A bunch of these PvP clans, yeah, they can be very toxic towards each other. There's a lot of DDoSing. There's stories of doxing involved.
Real world threats.
Yeah, real world threats.
Yeah, I got the mod Jed stuff, like actual criminal activity.
So yeah, those clans. They're kind of their own beast. But even with like Deadman Mode, how that has just suddenly stopped and they've really slowed things down. We're gonna have a tournament next month, but like the whole scene of people who love seasonal Deadman Mode, that has suddenly died off. And we're seeing the PvP community like slowly get smaller and smaller. At least that's how it feels. And Jagex they talk about wanting to revive it. So we have all this bullshit of like these new PvP rewards, which is like pisses off a lot of people because there's like restrictions on the polls. And Jagex says they just want to bring new stuff to the PvP community. So they say that while simultaneously taking out some major parts of the PvP community. Like they're taking out such big pieces of content that like it would be like if they said tomorrow, hey, we're going to remove the Nightmare of Ashiyama because there's too many gold farmers.
Like, don't get me wrong, I understand the frustrations of the PvP community, but they also bring it upon themselves at times. And I don't really know if there is an answer. Except for Jagex essentially just making updates without polling them because they're never going to pass the polls.
Well, the thing is, like, but Rev Caves did pass. Like, and then this is what I was thinking about as well. People hate PVM content when it's brought into the wilderness. It seems to always pass. Rev Caves pass.
Content?
Yeah.
Content usually passes. Yeah, but items don't pass that are. But that's the thing. Like, Rev Caves were, like, in concept, great. Like, we agree on this. But in reality, the PvP community destroyed them because they could have been such a beautiful thing and were for years until they finally figured out how to completely exploit them. And they were so damaging that Jagex had to step in and just remove them.
You know, every piece of content gets farmed by bots or by gold. Like, go to Zulrah, you constantly see gold farmers there. Go to Nightmare of Ashiyama. Go to the Mass World. 9 out of 10 players there are like these weird accounts that you're like, wow, they really love Nightmare of Ashiyama. It's all they do. They don't even do any skills.
I mean, but bots and gold farmers are a separate issue, in my opinion.
I think it boils down to like gold farmers, right? A lot of the problem was the real world trading aspect that goes on behind the scene.
Yeah. And the criminal activity that was involved. So it's complicated, but that's Rev Caves. It's like a whole other can of worms. But I don't really know what can be done. I hate that they're restricting polls. I think it's stupid because they're obviously trying to like either pass the content, but they could just do internal polls on how PvPers feel. And like we see right now, they restricted this poll even more. I couldn't vote on this one.
My main couldn't vote.
I was able to vote on the ornament kits, which I only voted yes for if it was a PvP weapon. Like I don't want Armadillo. Like the Dragon Claw one I voted yes for because they're a PvP weapon, but I didn't vote. Actually, I think I voted no for the Dragon Claw one because honestly, fuck that. They're also a PVM item. Like, why can't you make that a drop come from? That would be such a. Imagine those Dragon Claws look so cool, dude. I'm a PVMer at heart, so like, imagine that was like the mutagen for the new raid or something, where it was like really, really rare to get it as a drop, and then all of a sudden it's like this cool status symbol rather than coming from some stupid PvP arena, which obviously you can feel my feelings on. But like Armadillo, but that's not even a PvP item. Like, no one uses Armadillo in PvP. Everyone uses Carols.
Yeah, some of those were weird. And I
think I voted yes to the Elder Maul, and I voted yes like a couple others. But like, if it wasn't a PvP item, like a Dragon Warhammer, excuse me, that's not a PvP item. Why the hell would I want to go, or anyone for that matter, want to go to the PvP arena and get a Dragon Warhammer skin? Like, it looks like, how
good.
Far is your head up your ass? Like, why don't you make that as a drop from a clue scroll or something? Yeah, I'm not saying it didn't look cool, Dills. That's like besides the point, you know?
I think it looked good, and they just like, okay, let's just put it there. But yeah, it doesn't. It's lazy. Even the Dragon Claws, they were just black, or you know.
Oh, but the design is like completely irrelevant for me. Like, yeah, they look sick. It's just, is this where they should be coming from? A PvP arena? And my gut told me like, no, they shouldn't be. And I think recolors are cool, but they should be insanely rare and untradeable, like mutagens, or what's another one, like twisted kits, stuff like that. I'm sorry, I feel like we've circled around this topic for. Don't take this personally, because this isn't about you. We've just been talking about PvP and like PvP updates for, it seems like weeks, like multiple pods now, and nothing has changed. And frankly, I'm getting a little sick of it. And I don't really like Jagex's approach to updating PvP. Yes, I wish I would like PvPers to have a fun community. Like back in the old days, that's not a reality. Like that's never going to happen. But obviously polling, restricting polls, restricting them even further is not working. So they need to try some other approach.
I'm losing you.
You are losing me. I'm starting to not care anymore what happens to the wilderness because there's just so many updates and there's too much to follow.
This gravy train, as much as I would like it to slow down, I think we're going to have the arena dropping next week, so we might have to talk about it. But let's take a quick break. We're not really going to take a break, but let's head over to the news, and we'll talk about the news real quick. Okay, Heartless. We have one more thing to talk about that's PvP related today.
All right, you're just triggering me left and right, dude.
We will make it.
The worst part about this, Dills, I'm sorry. Let's the one more thing. The worst part about this is I love the wilderness. I love wilderness PVM. I love Rev Caves. I love doing the wilderness bosses even in their current state. Like I enjoy all of this shit. I'm out there and people can attempt to come and kill me. But there are so many more people who hate the wilderness with a burning passion, who don't want anything to do with it. They're not interested in PvP. They're not interested in learning it. And if I'm feeling this way about this whole situation with the PvP arena, I cannot fathom how a huge section of the population is feeling in this game.
What's that
right now.
thing called where you'll see it with maybe politics where they'll just keep drilling in about something, and at first you're like, yeah, I feel very strongly about this, and then time goes on, you're like, you know what, I'm so sick of this, do whatever the fuck you want.
Well,
I don't care
but then
anymore.
you get into a position where it's like a country like America where there's either option A, you either have this stance or you have this stance, and there's really no other choice. You know what I mean? Like in their politics, everything is just split right down the middle. You're either on this side of the issue or you're on this side of the issue. And I feel like that's just happening in RuneScape between our two communities, and it's getting worse and worse. And scenarios like this PvP debacle and restricting polls and them attempting to pass it and restrict the polls further each time, creating secret discords just for PvP people is not helping the situation.
This is it. Yeah. See, there was a tipping point where you're like, you're losing me, but then you fell over the cliff, and now we're back.
Yeah, I'm just fucking done.
Got you heated.
You have got me heated.
So, I was gonna say spoiler alert. The poll results are in. Nothing really passed. The imbued rings passed, and the spell sacks passed. Those are pretty boring. It's really boring. Those are the only rewards sitting in the shop. That's kind of sad. But hey, that was the best rewards they could think of. They couldn't think of anything else. And now the PvP arena is going to be coming out probably next week, if I were to guess. I don't know for sure. But they said they're not going to be having any additional rewards in the PvP arena, which had a lot of other people being like, yo, what the fuck? You're just going to release this giant piece of content with no rewards? You know, it's like bringing out Raids 3, and they're like, we'll figure out the rewards later. Here's Raids 3 right now, though, so you can have fun killing shit. You're not going to get anything for it. In the same dev blog, they have a survey about what is going to happen with the current permanent Deadman mode server. There's 50 to 100 people that play on it at any given time. It's a pretty small community. They're doing their own thing, but it's been around for, 5 years that server's been running. And they're asking it, hey, should we delete everything and start all over again? And they're opening up this survey for everyone. And then the people who play Deadman Mode Permanent are coming up being like, yo, what the fuck? We've been having fun. Is anyone new going to actually play the Deadman Mode server? Or are they going to play it for 2 months, get bored, and go back over to the main game? And you're just essentially killing off the thousands of hours we've all dumped into this server. Anyways, they're making some weird choices here. And I think I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, but they're full on. They're making some weird choices.
What if this is all just because they want to re-release the game, but there's no PVM content? It's just PK.
Oh,
and they're gonna sell it to the PKing community at $60 MSRP, and they have to buy the game, install it, and then they can do all their PvP activities. I don't know, man. I'm just a little over it, as you could tell, because I got pretty upset.
Yeah, it's a lot. Every time there's PvP updates, it's like we end up talking about it for like 6, 7, 8
I
episodes.
just can't believe they just restricted the polls again to not barely anyone could vote and nothing passed still. So obviously the PKing community doesn't agree with what Jagex is doing. I'm not mad at the PKing community here. I'm mad at Jagex and their attempts to bring these things into the game. It feels like they're not listening to either of their communities at this point. And that's disappointing.
It's what's going on. I mean, we love this game. I think 2022 is a really good year for this game, but
it's been great. Yeah,
we're missing a few things. Nothing brings the community together more than when Jagex screws up on their end,
and we all hating on Jagex. Yeah. Though I will admit we do give them probably too much hate.
Yeah, Jagex is actually a really good company. I really
take my anger in the context that this is still just a game, and I disagree with their decisions. But that doesn't mean I hate them. I think they generally do quite a good job. Especially with talking to their community, it just feels like they fuck up on PvP so often. Or maybe within the PvP community, there's a lot of split. Like people don't agree on things, on like how to revitalize the wilderness, or like what does wilderness revitalization look like to you?
Yeah.
Like that question could mean something different to everyone. Like, to me, is wilderness revitalization I think the wilderness was at its peak in 2007.
Sure.
Back when everyone was garbage and you just went out with your friends for a good time. Like, that was peak wilderness.
Yeah.
Now everyone's so good at the game. PKers have such high APM. It's difficult to get into. Like obviously, like you told that story. So I think the question we have to answer before we do anything is what do you want? And what does the PvP community want? And I'm not sure they'd be able to come to a consensus on that.
Yeah, it'd be like if you asked someone who runs the Inferno, someone who loves Chambers of Xeric, and then someone who just loves Slayer, saying, "Hey, what does PVM need?" They all might have something a little bit different.
Like endgame PVMers are going to have something different than just like people who just grind the game casually. And it's difficult. I'm not saying the answer is easy. But I think you really do need to start with that vision before you even take any steps.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Heartless, I have one other piece of news, but my understanding, the dunes are calling.
Yeah, do you hear their call in the distance? I gotta go shred some dunes, so yeah, I'll be back. Well, not for this episode, but I'll see you soon.
That sounds great. Okay, so Heartless had to leave, and normally I would tackle the rest of the episode solo, but I tend to get myself in hot water usually when it comes to pronouncing things. And anyways, doesn't matter. So I figured I'd bring on special guest Deegan. It's been a while.
Hey, how's it going?
It's been so long that I think some people need context. You basically left the show when Song of the Elves came because you had quit RuneScape. So I'm getting a little too far ahead. So Deegan, you and I were first running this podcast back when we started in 2016, and then you stopped playing RuneScape sometime before Song of the Elves came. And but what was it? Earlier this week or earlier last week, you logged in for the first time in quite some time.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't exactly say the first time, but because I would log in, I'd buy a bond, play for 30 minutes, and just okay, I'm gonna get off. That was fun, Yeah, I guess this past week I've been playing pretty consistently.
I'm worried about getting on such a big tangent in the middle of the news, but what made you come back all of a sudden? It's been 3 years, right? 3 years since you were playing consistently. And I know you logged in for the last leagues, but you logged in,
played 2-3 times and got off.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe it'd be best to save it for a bonus episode. But one of the I had a bunch of stuff going on in my life, which kind of caused me to take a break from RuneScape, and just the podcast, and I just needed to there was a bunch of stuff that I had to just kind of stop for a while. And then I've had other things pop up recently, and I've had a lot of free time I just like I get. I mean, everyone knows like you get those urges to play RuneScape, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I don't know. Like it lingers for weeks and weeks and weeks, right? Like I'll like be like on the computer. Like I've picked up guitar semi recently, so I'll be like playing guitar and I'll be like, yeah, you know, like think about RuneScape, or like I'm like out doing something and I just like think about it. And I was like on the computer just messing around and like watching like a YouTube video or something, like a RuneScape like Torvesta or something. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna log on. I've been wanting to like find something to play, and you know, I might as well jump on. And then I got on, was talking to some people in the CC, but then I was just doing Slayer. I'm like, you know what? This is actually pretty fun. I don't want to get off in 20 minutes like I normally do. And then I just started like I looked at all the quests that they came. Like, man, they came out with so many quests. So I just picked a random quest, did it, and I was like, man, this is a high quality quest. This was like super well done. And then I went to like
Remember what quest it was?
it was in the was it the one in the desert?
Beneath Cursed Sands.
It might be the Cursed Sands. I think I did one before that. It was a really quick one. I did the free to play one first. Whatever the free to play one was called. Below Ice Mountain was the first one I did, and I was like, oh, that was actually like not too bad. And then I think I did the Cursed Sands one. And then I ended up dying in the quest and learned about the new death mechanic that way, and had a nice panic attack running to my body. Like, oh, how do I get back?
Right. Yeah, that's how long it's been that you used to die and nothing would happen. Your stuff would just fall into a pile, and then they added when you die. Like, I forget it's there sometimes, and I'll get super risky at a boss, and I'll die, and I go claim my stuff, and it's like a 500k charge. And I was like,
yeah,
shit. And then, or sometimes you'll be too lazy to run back, so you can send it right to Death's coffer or whatever. But then you go pick it up, and it's like 2 mil, and it's like, holy crap! Like, don't die with a T-bow, apparently.
Yeah, for real. There's a couple quests I do, but like I just don't remember what they were called. But yeah, I did the Zao one, like I guess the one that like kind of finalized the
Kingdom
quest
Divided.
line. Yeah, Kingdom Divided. I did the sand one, and then I was like, man, like these quests are actually really good. And then I just started like messing around, and I just don't want to get off. And then I end up doing Song of the Elves finally. And then I'm like, because like, I don't know, I guess I try not to get too into it. Maybe we save it for later. But I can't really consistently raid.
Yeah.
Just because of other things going on. We can talk about like another time. And then I was like, oh, well, like Corrupted Gauntlet, I've heard is like a solo thing. And I heard it's not the biggest time commitment. And if I have to leave my computer abruptly, I'm not screwing over other people, right? I'm not leaving for 10 minutes. You know, during a 25-minute raid, like, started doing Gauntlet. I'm freaking addicted to it. It's so fun. And yeah, I've just been playing a bunch now. Yeah,
Playing catch
had a lot
up.
of fun.
Yeah, that's yeah. Everyone always says you never quit RuneScape forever. You always just take a break.
Yeah,
Usually the case.
I mean, that being said, I can't guarantee like a month from now I'll still be playing. We'll have to see. Just because like I tried to not get addicted again, because it was definitely an addiction. Like, we'll see if I can manage it.
It sounds like I'll listen to some podcasts. There's one that I listened to, and it's basically this guy who struggled with like heroin addiction, and it's basically like a recovery podcast. It's really good, but the point is when you're going through like the steps or whatever the process is called of going sober, you can never say, I will never do drugs again, because you never know. You're doing like the same thing with RuneScape, where you're like, I can't say I'll be playing this in a month from now.
I might.
Yeah.
A big thing is, I guess when we were doing the podcast, like the old school listeners, it was like, hey, Deegan, what'd you do this week? I did 16 hours of RuneScape every single, you know what I mean? It was like, whoa, okay, dude. Now it's like, I have like a bunch of other things going on. I have like, I just have a lot more things. It's not like, oh, I'm addicted to this like progression on a game. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Well, then maybe in a couple weeks from now, you'll be recording with Heartless, and you'll hear me in the background like screaming over like dying in Gauntlet or something. You're like, oh, there he is.
Not able to crush those combat tasks.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, anyways, we still had some more to talk about, which I figured would be a perfect opportunity for you to jump on, because we do have some more news to talk about, but it's not really news. It's like news.
It's like the fluff, the morning like news, like
Yeah, it's like the morning show sort of.
yeah.
Where it's like, look at this dog. Look at this dog that was skateboarding.
Look at this goat that rescued a pig in the water. Goat in the water.
Goat in the water. Yeah, so good. Did you see Nathan Fielder is coming with a new show?
I did not actually.
I freaking love anything Nathan Fielder does. He's so funny. If you haven't seen Nathan For You, please go watch it. It's the funniest show I've ever seen. But he's coming out with a show called The Rehearsal, where he is with a large crew of actors and set designers and all these like people who work in like just movies, these Hollywood folk. They will recreate scenarios for people who want to rehearse something. So like the trailer is like this mom who wants to rehearse taking care of a baby. So they set that up. I have no idea what that means, but it's coming out July 15th. And
dang, okay.
I'm quite excited. But anyways, that was just a side note. So last episode, there was a piece of news that I wanted to talk about that I actually forgot to talk about. So then I made a note to talk about it here because it's kind of like a big thing to talk about. You got to talk about it every single year. But at the same time, it used to be kind of bigger. If that makes sense. So I think this would be perfect for you to come on and talk about as well. But so it's kind of like, it was over a week ago, but on June 6th, we had the anniversary of one of the most iconic events in all of RuneScape. I'm going to go as far as saying all of gaming. I don't know if other people would agree, but I'm sure we would agree. And that event happened in 2006, and it was called the Falador Massacre. There's like a YouTube video that almost everyone has seen, features a Nightwish song. But basically what happened was construction had come out and someone was getting the first 99 and they were throwing a party. And in your player owned house, there's like areas you can turn on like a PvP zone. So you can like fight in the dungeons and there's little like boxing rings that are like PvP. And because this game has such spaghetti code, something happened and one special player named Duriel, he was able to continue his PvPing in Falador while no one else was able to retaliate. So he was able to walk around all of Falador and just killing people and taking all of their loot. And people would just had to stand there like helplessly. And player mods classically scream and bank your items to get people to stop. Yeah, I know I just went and described it, but what do you think of when it comes to the Falador Massacre? That's a weird question, but
it's the thing I love about the Falador Massacre is like if you played when you were like a little kid, kind of like I think everyone might have had a thought at one point where it's like it'd be cool if I could just like kill this guy at the bank and take his items, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was crazy when that happened. I remember like finding it, or maybe you showed it to me on YouTube, and just being like, "Oh, that is the coolest thing ever!" with this awesome song. Whatever, it was like a Planet Hell or something by Nightwish, but yeah, it's super like it's an iconic moment for like video game history, I guess, because it's a game that everyone's like familiar with. RuneScape's been going on for so long, and it was like such a unique event, right? I don't know if any game really has an equivalent, right? Of like some big event that happened like that.
Like Eve has those stories of those giant wars that take place.
Yep.
But like none of them, at least that I know, none of them have like a popular name that like a lot of people are like, oh, you know, whatever. Like I know of these battles, these big battles that have happened. There's like maybe been like 2 or 3 of them in Eve's lifetime. For anyone who doesn't know, Eve is this like sandbox space-faring game, and there's all these like corps or guilds, and they can control areas. I've never really played it, but this is my understanding of it. This giant battle between corps takes place, and it becomes this like 3-day battle where like if you're in a guild, you might get a phone call at 3 a.m. in the morning being like, we're under attack, and then you have to get up, and you're now fighting for like 48 hours, and you're calling in a sick to work because this is more important. And then there's someone always has to rattle off like, oh, $250,000 has been lost so far.
Yeah, and like they get the number, it would be as if let's say there was like a clan battle in RuneScape. There's 2 clans fighting in the wilderness, and all the gear was bought through bonds. Like people bought the bonds and cashed them in for gold, and then bought the gear.
Mhm.
And they fought, and that gear is just completely lost forever. That's kind of how they come up with those numbers.
Yeah, true. Mhm.
Yeah. The thing with the e-fights, they're always really interesting. And I remember seeing like one of the big ones live because they had like news reporters and stuff, like news streams of people like, oh, breaking news, you know? That's kind of how the game is supposed to be played, where there's these like big storylines that like, you know, corporations, like these people run and like all the stuff. If you guys are curious, I think it's like Eve Mitani. I think it's like MIT. What is it? MITTANI, Eve. You can find like it's Imperium News or something. I don't know. But that's the whole like the whole thing starts with like a guy trying to write a book, or I don't know. It's a lot of weird stuff. But everything like those wars in Eve kind of like play within how the game's supposed to be played. So they're super fun and interesting, but they don't become like historic because like, well, that's how the game's supposed to be played, right? It's just, but like with like RuneScape, it's the one thing with RuneScape is like when you die, you lose all your items. It's the same thing with Eve. You lose your ship and stuff, but you know, you lose your items in RuneScape, but then like some dude finds a way to be like essentially invincible in PvP and just to run around a town and just start murdering people for like party hats and stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's super awesome. Like,
It is pretty cool, and it even has a little excerpt in on Wiki, the Falador Massacre. So it says the Falador Massacre was a historic bug that occurred on June 6th, 2006, the classic 666. The bug caused several players to retain the ability to attack other players after leaving a designated PvP location. So that's another thing.
Mhm.
Duriel is the only one who's known because the video was of Duriel 321, but there was rumored to be other players who were able to attack people. They just weren't on video, so no one knows who those are. But ordinarily, players are only allowed to attack each other in player-owned houses, minigames, or in the wilderness. But according to a statement made by Jagex employee, the bug was caused by insufficient testing of an update that saw the release of a new game skill. Wow, where have we heard that before? Construction, wherein players could create their own house in which PvP could take place. Although the bug was considered quite negative at the time of occurrence, Jagex has since recognized it as a historical event in the franchise and has created an in-game reenactment in both RuneScape and Old School RuneScape. On June 6th, 2016, marking, I guess, 10 years, Jagex created 2 unique and isolated game worlds. Worlds 111 for RuneScape 3 and World 666 for Old School RuneScape. And on these worlds, PvP was enabled and players could attack an NPC who is named Duriel 321, one of the more well-known players of this bug. World 66 also played an in-game cover of the song Planet Hell by Nightwish, which was the song used in the original video of the event. The track was removed from the game when the event was over. The bug's reception has been subject to internet culture, and PC Gamer called it one of the best all-time MMO bugs. Do you remember the event they did in 2016?
Yeah, when you could kill him. He had like his typical party hat, Aram robe stuff, right?
Yeah.
And wasn't he like super like tanky? Like he had a bunch of health?
Yeah, he did. Here, I'm going to play the song that played. Yeah, he had like 10,000 health, I think.
Yeah, something ridiculous.
And if whoever was able to kill them and get the kill credit, I guess, you received a green party hat just on that world because Duriel had a green party hat. And yeah, it became kind of like something to show off that you were the one that got the kill by wearing that green party hat. People thought it was pretty cool. But you could also fight each other as well, which was really neat.
Yeah.
And they made this awesome track of the song Planet Hell by Nightwish. So that was a really cool event, but they've not done anything ever since then, which is why I kind of forgot. It happens every year with, this music's too intense to just have running in the background. They stopped
Gives
doing
someone a panic attack driving to work.
Yeah, someone's like driving like way over the speed limits of this music that's playing.
Yeah.
But it's similar to April Fools, where like they stopped doing like in-game April Fools events, and it just causes me to kind of forget that it's April Fools sometimes. So sadly, this was one of those situations where where it was like cool to see the post, I quickly forgot it was like the anniversary of the Falador Massacre.
Yeah, I wonder if they just decided to do like a one-off thing, because it would be kind of hard for them to like celebrate every single event.
Yeah.
Like it's a pretty small team, and having people like dedicated to essentially just doing events all year round seems like a pretty big waste of resources. So maybe they're like, oh, you know, this would be a fun idea to do.
Yeah.
And then they don't really just keep it up, but
yeah. But yeah, anyways, Falador Massacre happened. It was the anniversary, which is very, very exciting. It's always fun to see that pop up.
Going back to like other games with glitches and stuff like that, there's only 1.5 examples I could think of that are like close to Falador Massacre in like terms of popularity. I don't even know if you'd count the first one. You remember like the missing number glitch in Pokemon Red and Blue?
Everyone knew that, and I don't know, like, where did that come? Who figured that out?
I don't know. I looked it up though because I was like, oh, is this actually a glitch? Like, yeah. Apparently, it was in Nintendo Power.
Oh, interesting.
So I guess people read it there. And then the other one, which is it's actually pretty funny, but it's from World of Warcraft. Do you remember the corrupted blood incident?
It was like a disease that spread.
Yeah. So there was a boss in Vanilla WoW called Hakar, and he had this spell where he'd hit you and your guy would be like sick, and then you would spread the sickness to other people in your raid, and it was just like a mechanic that you're trying to avoid and all that, and it would just do damage to you over time, and you're like, as a hunter, your pet would get it. So what happened was that someone found out, or maybe accidentally happened, but they had their pet got infected, they dismissed it, so they put it in like their bag essentially, and then they went to a major city, pulled out their pet, and the pet's sickness spread to everybody in the city and started killing, like it would like instantly kill low level players and stuff, right? Because when you're maxed out with like, you know, a bunch of health and like resistances and stuff like that, it's not gonna kill you that quick,
right?
But it ended up becoming a thing where like people were like avoiding major cities to like they didn't want to get infected, and yeah, apparently people were like trying to quarantine and like all this crazy stuff.
I heard that like I don't know who, but people actually studied that to like see like as an example of spreading something contagious.
Yeah, I know. WoW. I heard that too with the corrupted blood thing, and then I heard that there were some people that did studies on like WoW's economy back in the day and how it reflected to real life stuff.
Huh.
There was some papers that were written on it. It was interesting.
For something you missed with old school RuneScape is they've added like a tax to the Grand Exchange.
Yeah.
But they actually like hired like an economist.
Oh, really? Huh?
To like come in and be like how do you prevent inflation? Yeah, and he was like, you need taxes, and then they were talking about like the worry of like too many items, which the items would drop down in value if the items just keep coming into the game. And then, so their solution to that was take the money that gets taxed from the Grand Exchange and use like a percentage of it to buy back items that just get deleted. So like,
okay,
they might buy some T-bows from the Grand Exchange. They have like a bunch of items that just get bought using the money that's being pulled from taxes. So that items are just being deleted from the game.
Cool. Okay, I like that. Yeah, that's really, yeah, it's interesting.
All right, though. That was it. That was all for the news. At this point, I'm going to take it. We usually take a quick little break, but then we come back because we do have some callers. We started doing this call-in segment. Anyways.
The Wild Hotline?
Yeah, the Wild Hotline.
They ask for like life advice and stuff.
It should. It's usually me asking a question. But that's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, no, general questions. Like, hey, yeah. Anyways, I don't have a joke prepped.
We are taking a quick little break and heading on over to the Grand Exchange. This is the segment where I talk about how you can support the show if that's something you've been wondering throughout the episode. Well, first things first, if you want to support the show, if you want to do a little bit extra than just listening, I guess, you can leave us a review and a rating on whatever app you're listening to. So Apple Podcasts or iTunes, Spotify, or Podcast Addict, that's the one that I use, and you can do the same there. By the way, it's an awesome app if you don't want to use any of the big ones. Podcast Addict is great. Anyways, if you want to leave a review or a rating, it really helps the show out, and I read every single one of them. You can leave some feedback there as well, or you can just message me feedback. That's another way of sending it. If there's something you don't like, send it on over. It's funny. So we had a little cameo of Deegan, who used to be on the show years and years ago, and I remember way back when we used to. It was very, let's just say, raw, amateur. We used to burp on the microphone. I thought it was funny, but I used to burp just on the microphone, and then we got some complaints. Now I don't do it anymore. So if there's something you don't like about the show, send it in. I take all the feedback seriously. Now, if you do want to support the show financially, you can head on over to patreon.com/thewildernesspodcast. If you are one of our top tier supporters, then you get a shout out on every single episode. So thank you to Bronze Yawn, Yolfi Ferric, Strosity, Mallard, Oh My Lord, P Jackals, Splemo, Sejuan, and Yay Fiber. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show, and thank you to everyone else who continues to support the show. It really does mean a lot to me, and I do truly appreciate it. If you don't like Patreon for whatever reason, and I can totally understand, it's like subscription based, and some people want to stay away from that. I got to make a habit of doing that because I found out that I was paying for like 4 RuneScape memberships, and I didn't even realize it. That's the problem with subscriptions. You don't realize it's just continuing. I had the same problem with Audacity, Audible, and I had been paying it for like over a year, and I wasn't using it at all. Anyways, they refunded all my stuff, but that's the problem with subscriptions. See, with my PlayStation 4, I wasn't playing PlayStation 4 for like literally like more than a year. I hadn't played it, and I was still paying every month for that friggin' PlayStation Plus. I wasn't even downloading the game, so what a waste. Anyways, check your subscriptions. If you're listening to this right now and you have some time, you might be in the car, don't pull over, but sometime this month, you should look at your credit card and just go through all the subscriptions, because you might be surprised what you're paying for. I had another one. I was paying for like digital comic books because it's the free trial, and then they hit you with the payments after the 2 weeks or so. And I just signed up for a free trial of something, and I can't remember what it was. So I'm 100% going to get hit with a charge, and then I got to remember to cancel it. So check your bank statements. Anyways, you still want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/dills, where it is a one-time payment instead of your choosing, and it's a disguise as a virtual coffee, even though I do drink a lot of coffee, so there's a good chance that will actually buy me a coffee. Although it's like $5 coffees, so that's pretty expensive. That's like, what is it? A grand. What are the sizes at Starbucks? Starbucks is expensive. I'm Canadian, so we go to Tim Hortons where it's a little bit cheaper. Although the prices are creeping up there, it's starting to get a little crazy. Anywho, 2JZ Soup, Beefy Click, Hugh Janas. You guys have kept me caffeinated this week, and I truly appreciate it. One thing that I've been dabbling into that I have to be careful of is the Red Bulls. I've discovered how delicious the no sugar Red Bulls are. And every time I go to the grocery store, I buy a 4-pack just for those days where I get no sleep. Like last night, the kid did not sleep at all. So I wish I had a Red Bull in the fridge, because I would be crushing that in like 4 hours. It's the morning, so we would not drink it in the morning, but we will drink it. We would have drank it at lunchtime or so. Anywho, thank you guys so much for buying me some coffees this week. And of course, if you are someone who wants to support the Discord server, or maybe you have Discord Nitro, which allows you a lot of cool perks, but it also gives you some boosts for a server. If you don't have any servers you want to add it to, you can always toss it to our server instead, and that is always greatly appreciated as well. So Battle Stabs, Chick, Hoyt, and Twisted Soul, thank you guys for boosting the server this month. Truly do appreciate it. And because you guys have been boosting it, we have been given the unique URL, discord.gg/thewilderness, for anyone who wants to join and hang out. All right, that's it. That's it for now. Let's get to the end of the show. Okay, we are back. Now I'm trying to think of a way to prompt people to call in with like some sort of like asking questions of advice. We have this. I don't want to do this, but we have this show. Dean, you might have seen it, and this is like some Ontario lore here in Canada. We had this like late night sex show with this really, really old lady. I forget what it was called. Do you know what show I'm talking about? And people would call in.
It rings a bell. Like I feel like it was like a 3 a.m. cable TV in between infomercial channels type show.
Susan Johannesson? Oh, the Sunday night sex show. Yeah, Sue Johannesson. So she was like 80 years old and people would call in. And she
Oxygen Network. Talk sex with Sue Johansson. Hell yeah.
And people would like ask her questions.
She's 90 now, if she's still alive.
Is she?
She's 91. She's still kicking.
Public speaker, sex educator. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, we pretty much had an old lady at Sunday nights that would teach you how to grapefruit your man.
Anyways, those won't be the sort of call-ins we'll get. Although if somebody wants to, we can try to help.
You just get 4 messages like.
No, but we do. So last week's question of the week was, what is your favorite old school RuneScape music track? Or at least one that like you listen to and it brings you back. So that a music track that's special to you. Deegan, off the top of your head, do you have a song that first comes to mind?
I think like the Lumbridge music pretty much.
Autumn Voyage?
Yeah. It's really weird, but I noticed like this past year, there's like maybe year and a bit, there's like random YouTube channels use like the old school RuneScape music track as their background music all the time.
Yeah, I hear my wife, she listens to like TikToks and it'll have like Flute Salad playing.
Yeah. Like I'll be watching like those like mystery, like, oh, we're gonna talk about this thing that happened, like nothing gaming related, completely nothing at all like related to gaming, and like some dude will be telling some story about like, I don't know, some guy that went missing and blah 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 blah, and you like, and then it's just like RuneScape music in the background, or like those YouTube channels that talk about other YouTube channels, and they'll play like, yeah, and I'm just, and then like every time I like hear like the, I guess the Autumn Voyage, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I'll hear weird ones too, and I gotta stop for a sec.
What song is it where it's like trumpets and there's like crazy drumming in the background? It's like, I can't even like bum, 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 but you can hear like the crazy hi-hats going in the background. Is it in the Inferno music or something?
Maybe the Inferno has some pretty intense music.
Or maybe it's Theater of Blood? No, it's Inferno. I'm thinking of the Inferno music. I love that shit. It's really good.
Okay, so we got 2 calls for question last week. So let's dive into it. First one is Matacause 1. Actually has 2 calls for this episode. Let's get to the first one.
Woody boys, Matacause 1. So, you asked about my favorite music track, or at least one that means a lot to me. And this isn't really, I guess, super meaningful. I mean, it does bring back memories of law runs as I was a noob, and I wasn't the rune crafter, but I would just make money by running back and forth between the bank and the law altar on Intrana. But the track that I'm referring to is Background. And the reason why it's my favorite track is just, legitimately, it's just the most beautiful track in the whole game, in my opinion. I absolutely adore the song. Hence the name, I could have it in the background of my life, just while I'm doing anything over and over and over again and never get tired of it. And it just sounds absolutely beautiful, and the instruments in it make it actually sound, I would say it's one of the most real sounding, not like video game sounding tracks in the whole game. And it would just be beautiful to hear live in like an orchestra. And if I ever get my hands on that vinyl, the old school RuneScape vinyl, I really hope it's on there. I think it is, but anyway. Keep up the good work, guys. See ya.
Yeah, that is a cozy song. It's actually like one of the few places that I actually have that I used to run a lot when I was a kid. Running law runes was like somehow really good money. But when I was doing it, it was in the era of turning off all the sound effects. Like you hit like an age where you stop and listen to the music and you're listening to like whatever music you could download. But yeah, law running. It's kind of sad that those are gone, but it's a cozy place. I wish Intrana, like they haven't added anything new to Intrana since you've stopped playing, but it's such a cool area because you can't bring like any armor and stuff, and I wish you could do more on it. You know, I love the idea of having to craft, like you have to craft your own gear in the area. And then having a boss or some sort of content that you'd have to tackle, but you can't use the best gear. You can only use what you can actually craft.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good song. Thank you, Maticos, for calling in. Next we have Jed Stole Fish.
What's going on, guys? This is Jed Stolefish calling in, wanting to answer the question of the week about favorite OSRS music tracks. And I've got two of them. First one being Autumn Voyage, that plays like right outside of Lumbridge. That just takes me back to being a kid, killing cows, killing chickens, all that kind of stuff. That was one of the first songs I learned to play on guitar too, which is just like such a throwback. I still even come back to that once in a while today. And then another, like a modern favorite, being the song that plays on Fossil Island when you're doing your birdhouse runs, Preservation. That one just totally blew my mind as to what they were doing with the music engine and just like how they were still developing the game. And that one, as I came to OSRS and got to Fossil Island, it was like, oh man, they are really like changing and updating this game, and it feels new yet nostalgic at the same time. So those are my two favorites. Love the show, love all you guys are doing. Thanks. See ya.
Yeah, that's a good song, Preservation.
Dang, yeah. I see. I've never done a birdhouse run. I don't think I ever will. But yeah, no, that's a good song.
That's the thing too. There's so much like RuneScape's such a good game to just play and listen to a podcast or watch YouTube, whatever it is. But there's like so many good tracks. Like what we have as of right now, we have 715 songs. Like I would say they're all really good. I've never come across a song that's like bad. There's some songs that are jarring, like County Jig. Do you know that one?
Yes.
It's let me play it real quick.
Is that in Current?
Yeah, and it's like it's such a fast start. You like walk one tile and this song just starts playing. Most songs have like a little fade in, or it like starts off soft and builds up. That's like the first one that like you step one tile into the area it plays and that song kicks on, and it's like terrifying and very jarring.
Yeah, it always reminds me of Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah,
Banjo-Tooie. Like it's like a 1-to-1. It's like, man, did they actually just rip the song? I can't tell.
That's funny. Preservation is a song that like I'm not even too familiar with, but hearing it, it's like, God, that's a good one.
Yeah, I looked it up on YouTube. They have like a reorchestrated version and stuff. It's
yeah, that's
good.
It's just like a YouTuber who like, okay, I don't know. I'm so stupid with music, so I'm gonna explain it, and then people who do know music and all that stuff. You know, the people like the music theory people who can like they can read music notes and all that jazz.
Yeah, the nerds.
Yeah, the music nerds. So I don't really know what's going on with like a reorchestra, but they kind of re-envision different songs and add like different non RuneScape sounding sounds. Anyway, it's this YouTube person. I was talking to them way back because I wanted to use part of their music. I wanted to revamp the intro, and I was going to use part of his, and he said it was okay. I never went forward with it just because I didn't like the way it didn't fit as much. But yeah, he does a whole bunch of reorchestrations, and it's pretty cool. All right, and we got one more from 2JZ Soup. So he says, my favorite track is one that I always remember vividly. I even have it as my ringtone. Imagine weekend mornings and coming home from a school, waiting for the dial-up tone to finish up, and opening up Internet Explorer trying to remember how to spell RuneScape. I had the website written down in a notebook so I'd remember. You launch the game and you're hit with Scape Main, forever a legendary song for me. 2JZ Soup. That is the classic. Actually, it's kind of like a little bit of a Mandela effect because it's not the original song. I think it's the song we have now, but they switched it out.
Really?
So some of us will remember this as like the original login music, but some of us might have memory of an even earlier one. This one came out in 2005, but before that, it was Scape Original. So for a number of years, this was the login music. Does this one ring a bell for you?
No, I just remember the like.
I do picture myself on Tutorial Island with this song playing. And they revamped it. All right, so that was last week's question, but we have to go even a week back because we got two people calling in for episode 211's question of the week, which was basically tell me about your story of getting scammed. Deegan, do you have any? What's the first story that comes to your head when you think of like, oh, I got scammed on RuneScape, or I scammed someone?
Getting my armor trimmed.
Oh no, that was you got hit with that, did you?
Yeah, in between, and I got the hit with the trust. Trust, you and a bunch of people go into like a room.
Yep,
and like trade a guy gear. The first one was I was walking to Varrock and I had like, was it my mithril? Maybe, and the guy's like, "Oh, I'll trim your armor for you," and I was like, or maybe he had black armor. I don't know, but I gave it to him. He just logged off, and I was like,
"It's gonna come back, right?"
Asshole.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, what the hell? Like I remember like not really being that upset. 'Cause I think I was such a noob at the time. I might have begged for it. Then it was in the building with Romeo and Juliet.
Okay.
Got hit with that trust game. I either had black or mithril armor again. This is like a little bit like not too long later. And we were playing, going back and forth. Someone won. Then it's like, oh, well, you guys want to trust me with more stuff? Look, someone won. And I didn't really have anything else. I just stayed. And then some people went and got some stuff. The guy scammed me for like whatever my mithril black armor was. But I was kind of pissed. But the other dude that was next to me had like full Addy. And he was like super upset.
Yeah,
and I was like,
ruined.
I was like, well, that sucks. And then another dude was like, huh, he just scammed us, LOL, and walked away. And then I'm like, okay, whatever. I think that's kind of it though. Like I was such a noob at the time that like me getting scammed was really annoying, but like I didn't like know how to make money. And I think people just kind of gave me armor at that point. Like I literally just like, was just a big noob. It was never like game ruining for me because I just had nothing already, right?
Yeah.
It was like I just kind of enjoyed running around talking to people and stuff at the time. I think I don't know. What about you?
No, I got hit. I talked about 2 episodes ago, but I got hit with the trust scam as well. That was the first big one. That was the first time where I was like, I realized people aren't as nice as they come off on the internet.
Well, I remember watching you get trust scammed. That dude, I remember that dude walking out with multiple sets of rune, I think. Unless that happened to you twice, or I'm just like not remembering it correctly.
It could have happened to me twice, but I think it only happened to me once.
I remember you guys were in Varrock. You climbed like the tower wall.
Yep.
You went up the ladder. And I remember someone winning. And I remember me and you being like, oh my God, this guy's not a scammer. So I'm like, this guy's legit. Someone just won. And then like everyone's like busting out their full rune. And this dude just logged out with everyone's shit. And I remember being like, oh my God.
Yeah, who saw that coming?
Yeah. Yeah. I've had like friends scam me and stuff on RuneScape. That's like people I've known for a while. And then they just like yoink like 10 mil from you and dip. That's happened a couple times.
Damn.
Yeah. Any other scamming stories you have?
That's pretty much it. It was funny. I hear other people get scammed all the time, and I have to bite my tongue, but part of me is like, oh my God, how? And then I realized, oh, they never played RuneScape. So we went out for like a little luncheon a couple days ago. with like the in-laws and some of their family. And I was talking to father-in-law, and he had purchased some NFTs.
Oh no!
Of the gorillas. He wanted to. He has.
No, you didn't buy. No,
he bought those bored ape. He bought those apes.
The concern. He bought concerned apes.
I think so.
Or did you buy a knockoff?
Probably a knockoff. It was only like he said it was like 150 or something like that.
Yeah, it was definitely a knockoff then.
So he got a couple of them because he was curious. He's like, I wanted to see. It's kind of like he's just experimenting. So if they go to 0, not a big deal. If it goes up, well, that's great. And he was saying that, what was it? He got some sort of email saying, like, I forget what it was, but it told him to log into the wallet that holds all of his NFTs in order to do whatever it is the email said. I think maybe like, oh, someone puts an offer in for it, or something happened that made him do it. He clicked it, he logged in, and
his shit
next
got
thing
stolen.
you know, all of it was gone.
Yep.
And he was telling me this, and he was like, the website looked identical to like the wallet address. Like, I don't know how. I have no idea how they were able to like recreate it like identical. And I was just like, oh my, that is like the oldest trick in the books in RuneScape. You know, RuneScape's like when it comes to like scams, RuneScape is so far ahead of everything else. Where you have people who are like people who lure for like T-bows and stuff in high risk worlds.
I've definitely told the story about my buddy who got scammed out of a T-bow, right?
You might have, but it's been so long.
Should I tell it again?
I think so.
Okay. So you finish your thing. I don't want to cut you off. You go.
No, that was it.
Okay. So let me just paint a quick story. I'm Deegan. A couple years ago, I'm grinding Xerix day in, day out, sweating my ass off, trying to get a T-bow to rebuild and like sell everything, buy a T-bow and restart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing nonstop for like you guys know, like months and months and months, just raiding nonstop. I get my T-bow. I send my buddy this message, like my real life friend, like, yo, just got a T-bow. And this guy like barely plays at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, man, good stuff. I see him log in. 3 days later, he sends me a screenshot. Dude, I just got a T-bow too. And I'm like, what? Apparently, dude liquidated his bank.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell how dated this is because he went and YOLO'd his bank like 4 times the duel arena.
Yeah.
Got enough for a T-bow, bought it. Started his rebuild with me. I'm furious. I'm like, this asshole just gambled, and now he just saved 6 months of his life.
Yeah,
like throwing it into a pit, and it just doubling his money. He's bank standing, and if you ever bank stand with a T-bow, I don't know how it is now, but back then you would have like all these people like, bro, your character is so good. Like people start like sucking up to you. They want you to add them, and they're usually a higher level, and then they try to like be super nice to you. They try and like get you on Discord, add you, and they're just like kind of like talking you up and stuff because they're going to try and scam you, right? This happened when I used to stream back then. I had a dude come in who actually introduced me to one of my favorite bands, but he tried doing this scam to me. But what you do is that what happened to him, he meets this guy. He's like talking with them. They're like, oh, they're buddy. He adds them on Discord. The guy's like super cool, super likable. They become good friends in the course of like a week. And he goes like, hey man, so I got this scam. I go to Wintertodd, I get this dude to come in and just drop all of his gear in a PvP world. And what you do is you log in under him and you just pick up all of his shit. And he's like, my buddy's like, okay, whatever. And he's like, if you ever want, just let me know. And I can like, if I get someone, I'll just hit you up and then you come in and we split it 50-50. And he's like, okay, cool, I'm down. And then he's just chilling. He gets a message by the guy, come to this world right now. Wintertodd, just tell you to Wintertodd, go behind this tree. Like he like sends him a screenshot of which tree, where to stand exactly. He goes, he does the scam, and he picks up like 80 mil worth of gear. He walks in with 40 mil. He's like, dude, I just scammed this guy for like 80 mil. And I'm like, you're kind of a piece of shit. Okay. And then cue like a week later, he gets a message from the guy. He's like, yo, dude, what are you up to, man? How's it going? Not much. I'm just grinding Zulrah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So now you see what's going to happen, right?
Okay.
He's killing Zulrah. Oh, you're using your T-bow, huh? Yeah, I'm just lazy killing Zulrah with the T-bow. 5 minutes later, come to Wintertodd right now. This guy's dropping like 300 mil worth of gear. The dude doesn't bank his T-bow, goes in, it's like the high risk world where you can't protect items or whatever. Something, and then he dies, loses his T-bow, boom, guy deletes and blocks him on everything.
Wow.
That's like literally the scam. I don't know if it's the same dude, but he tried hitting me up with that scam, and he was like, dude, I can get us like 80 mil right now. And we were doing the podcast at the time, and I'm like, man, I'm not gonna do that because that's shitty. Like, I'm not gonna scam someone for like 80 mil. He's trying to scam me, I know it. But even if he's not, I'm not gonna be that guy that's gonna be stealing like pixels off some dude. Like, this is fucked up. But my buddy got hit with that, got scammed out of his T-bow, and then rage staked his bank for another T-bow and quit.
Yeah, that's an all too likely story. There's a lot of people on the Discord and the clan chat who that was the origin of their Iron Man being made.
Really? Oh, like staking, or do you mean like getting scammed?
Both, but getting scammed, like losing a T-bow and then saying, "Fuck it, I want to keep playing the game, but I'll just make an Iron Man." Okay. Yeah, I know a lot of people that did that, but it's almost like that scam itself has almost evolved, because hearing just like go to this world to pick up these items, that seems like, okay, who's going to fall for that? But now what I've seen there's videos of is like, do you know the book stall?
When you're like, where is like in a PvP world where you're like reading at like the bank thingy, you get someone to trade you, and like you've tricked your character position, so when they go to trade you, they just fucking run out into like the PvP zone and die.
Yeah, because your character is technically in the PvP zone.
Yeah,
but there's like this weird glitch with the engine where everything else sees you in a non-PvP zone, but any like interactions on your account will be where you're supposed
like
to be.
Your model hasn't updated where you're supposed to be because you're like reading a book or like a map or something. So when they trade you, they go to where your character is actually standing. Yeah,
there's another one where they'll find a bank that only has one tile that's safe and every other tile is dangerous. There's a video of this guy losing his T-bow where he's going on for like maybe I'll try to find, if I find it, I'll slap it in afterwards. But he's basically like on stream. Everyone's saying, "Don't do it, you're gonna lose it." And he's like, "No, it's fine. I'm not going to lose my T-bow. I'm not stepping off this tile with the T-bow, I promise." And then there's a guy who is in a PvP zone and he's like, "Oh, just trade me and I'll give you the money." And then he's able to time it so he knows when that person's going to trade him. And then he walks underneath the person who's in the safe zone. And he times it so well that your character steps back into a PvP zone to initiate the trade. And then boom, somebody shows up and just kills them.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's I tell you, RuneScape scams, they're like 5 years ahead of the rest of the world, where like people are just getting hit with like trust trades and all that stuff, IRL. And
well, there was that one YouTuber. I don't know if he makes videos anymore. He was always getting into drama in like the earlier days. But he had a video of like how to avoid this scam. And it's like him showcasing like what the scam is. It's like one of the ones you throw a gnome ball to someone when they're like crossing a bridge or something and it changes their weight.
Yeah, it makes them too heavy for the bridge and they fall.
Yeah, so the guy explains this is what you do to like anti-scam the scammers and you take all their shit. But the way the real scam actually worked is that you wanted people to like, it would be like, okay, here, Dills, grab all these items. You're going to drop your items here. You're going to cross this bridge, pick up mine and cross the bridge and go back. And then, and then you're like, okay. And then I would like a third party would send you a PM. Bro, are you talking to this guy? He's a scammer. He just got me. I know how to anti-scam him. You have to do this, drop your iron bar, like do this, this, and this. So you think, oh, I'm actually going to outplay the scammer. But the real scam has nothing to do with what he wants you to do. Like no matter what, the second you start it, you're losing your shit because like someone's going to log in and pick, I don't know. There's some weird thing that they do. But this YouTuber had like a video on how to anti-scam them. And then it came out that people paid him to make that video.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh God, what was his name? It was like something about Oak, Mr. Oak, or
Oak Dice or something.
Oak Dice, yeah.
Yeah, he did get caught up in drama. I don't hear about him anymore, but yeah, he used to always have drama going on with him.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. I feel like every time we talk about this, we have to preface it or preface it with saying, is it preface if you're saying it at the end?
I don't know. Either way.
Whatever. The point is you will never scam the scammer. The whole scam always relies on you thinking you're going to outsmart them.
Yep.
But all of that is like part of the plan, is thinking you're going to outsmart them. They are like 5 steps ahead. They know what you think you're going to be able to do to anti-scam them, and then they're going to counter that. And they want you to like hone in on that. Anyways, never works out.
Easy way to put it: if you're like my friend that how he lost his TiVo, it's like if that scam is successful and you get like 40 mil, is that like, or what happens if you get scammed and you die and you lose whatever you have on you? Like, 1, will that make you quit if you die? And then 2, if you actually do the successful scam, does the amount of money you make, like, is it worth it? You know what I mean? Like, my buddy lost a bill plus trying to get like, 100 or something mil. Like, that's a lot of money, especially if you're like a lower level player that doesn't have a T-Bow and stuff. Obviously, that's gonna be a crap ton of money.
Yeah.
But like, there's like you gotta weigh the pros and cons. Like, if you die and lose the stuff, are you gonna quit? And if that's a yes, like don't even engage with it. Don't even risk it. I mean, obviously, don't even like talk to the scammer. Just block them. But there's gonna be people that don't listen to me. They're gonna be like, oh, well, hey, that guy got 40 mil once out of those scammers. Maybe I'll try and do the same thing. It's gonna be like, well, if you're gonna ignore me, just actually be realistic and weigh. If you're willing to like do something as like shitty as that.
All right. So yeah, let's hear how. We'll start off with Matacause1. Hear his story involving scamming of some sorts.
Hey, Woden Boys. Matacause1 here again. This time, it's time to reveal my dark days as a scammer. The story began in private chat. I contacted my best friend through a secret account named something like Wireless Moderation. I informed him that his account had multiple logins from a single IP address, and that the only way to repair the problem was via Jagex moderator operating the account for a short period to inspect the issue. For that, I requested his username and password via an email address which I provided him, also something like jagex.support.wirelessmoderation@gmail.com. He sent his information, I took over his account, and I logged him out wearing only a chicken suit in the deep wilderness. Nothing else. Never stole anything. I screen recorded the whole process and I sent him the video afterwards. Anyway, thought that was a funny story that brought back great memories. Hear you guys next week, and I hope the music was not annoying and it was funny instead.
Thank
Dastardly.
you. Yeah, thank you so much for that call in the as you say in the podcasting world, the sound design to go with it. And I have to know what song that is. I don't know that song at all, but it's the perfect like detective.
It's menacing kind of, but not too menacing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great though. That is a great story. So I appreciate the call in. We have one more from Tammy Craps.
Hey, Heartless. Hey, Dills. Yay, Fiber, aka Tammy Craps here, longtime listener, first time caller. About the scam thing, you jogged my memory. When I was younger, my younger brother and I and our older cousin used to sit around at our grandparents' house, and we would just take turns on our accounts doing like the newbiest stuff you could do. Like we would just cut magic logs and watch each other for hours. And this was how we spent like 2 summers. It was pretty great. One day, Chad, who's older than us and a bit of a deviant, he thought of this idea to like, let's make another account and start scamming people, and we can make a lot more money than this. We're like, what do you mean? What is that? We were very innocent and like 10 years old. And he's like, okay, there's these items called shade robes that are worth like 50,000 gold. They look just like black robes. So we'll sell these shade robes that people want, but right before they accept, we'll switch them out for black robes and make a whole bunch of money. And because black robes are like useless, worthless. So we made this account. My name is Cameron. My younger brother's name is Colin, and his name is Chad. And we made the account the Triple C Team, which should have been everyone's first tip-off. But yeah, we pulled off this scam, I don't know, 10 times over the course of a weekend, and we felt loaded. 500,000 gold back then was like, I don't know, I don't even know. So yeah, if anyone in the clan got by this scam back in the day, I'll buy you a bond. I feel really bad about it still. Yeah, and then Chad ended up going to jail later on for scaring people in real life. So I won't get into that now, but thanks for the show, guys. Love it.
That's what it always leads to.
That's hilarious.
It
also RuneScape's a gateway.
It is.
Gateway for fraud, I'm telling you.
It's funny. It's I remember they had to change like all the robes because you had the Shades robes, which were a bunch of money. Then you had the Black Wizards robes, which looked similar, and then you had the Aram's robes, and they looked similar to the Black robes. So they had to like change the way they all looked in order to differentiate. Same with I don't know if they ever changed it, but the scam that you always worried about getting hit with was buying full Guthans and getting a leaf bladed spear instead of the Guthan spear.
Yeah. Actually, his story kind of reminded me of something that I did when I was a kid. I think I told this story before, but so my main account isn't actually the first account I ever like made for RuneScape. You probably remember this. The very first account I made, it was called like Deco7.
Yep.
Because like my actual name is Derek. I was really into soccer and like, like deking people in soccer. I don't know if that's like a Canadian term, but like, breaking ankles, like juking around them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really like James Bond. So it was like Deco7. I thought it was such a sick name. That account ended up going into the abyss and I tried changing my password like 5 times in an hour and I just lost the account. But I had made this account that I play now with my one friend, and like we made the account as a joke because its username was like I won't like tell the actual username because it's my login info, but it's like related to like penises.
Right. It's funny.
And hilarious. I mean, I was like 2003, right? So we were like literally giggling, like, oh, let's make the name penis, but it wasn't penis, but it's something similar to that. I was on that account trying to get other people's accounts by saying I was a Jagex moderator. Be like, hey, I'm a Jagex moderator. I need info to your account, blah, 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 blah. And then obviously I get banned for trying to scam accounts in like a couple minutes. I stopped playing RuneScape for a while. And then I think you were the one that helped me write a ticket to Jagex apologizing for years ago trying to scam accounts. And they unbanned my account, but I had like 9.8 black marks. So if I got muted or did anything bad, it was a permaban, no questions. And then eventually they're like, "Oh, you're reformed," and they took out all the black marks. But yeah, I had like a name that was related to penises, and I would just send people messages at like Barbarian Village, like, "Hey, I'm a Jagex moderator. I need to get in your account."
Yeah. Yeah, Dickweed38 is messaging you saying they're the newest J mod.
Yeah, like actually something like similar to that. Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, man. Yeah, good times.
Good times. So thank you everyone for calling in. As per usual, I'm trying to think of a way to word this. But Deegan, you had a fun suggestion. But you know what? Maybe we'll just open up the hotlines. So what general advice have you always wanted and been seeking? Feel free to call in and just ask any questions. This could be like a free-for-all question of the week. Call in and ask any questions that you might want answered. You might not get the right answer, but you'll get an answer for sure. You might even get 2 of them. But that'll be the question of the week there. As usual, there's a link in the below called SpeakPipe. If you click that link, it will bring you to a place where you can call. You can also just type your messages in as well. So that's quite all right. So this is where we wrap up the show. We do some the housekeeping, I guess you would call it. Me and Heartless have to record a bonus episode for this competition that we pitched about designing a weapon and stuff to bring into the game, weapon or armor or any item.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be doing a bonus episode that's still coming. We got to find time to record it, but it can't also take time away from our weekly recording. So that's going to be coming down the road at some point. Deegan, we've been talking for months, it feels like, about doing a bonus episode where we just shoot the shit for like an hour.
Yeah.
So we definitely have to have that coming out at some point. But no actual release date yet. But anywho, we have a in-game clan called Wild if you want to join. Our email is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com if you want to write in and to answer one of the questions or ask any questions or tell us any stories. That's the email for that. We also have Twitter. You can use Twitter if you prefer it, @thewildernessRS. I don't really tweet that much. I try to every now and then, but I don't really like it. But if you like to use Twitter, it's a perfect place to send a question in. I will read it. And our Discord is discord.gg/thewilderness if you want to come hang out. That's also an area you can send in your questions. That's pretty much it. I have a Twitch channel that I stream from time to time. I've jumped into the Inferno a few times. I'm not really doing too well, but I'm going to try to do that sometime this week. So that's twitch.tv/thedills. Deegan, anything you want to plug?
Normally I say Twitch and Twitter, Deegan RS. I think that's what I would say, but I don't really use Twitter or
Gave up
Twitch.
on the that influencer lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I okay. I don't like Twitter. I'm a very argumentative person, as you guys remember. So Twitter is like very bad for me because I will just argue with people. And then Twitch, I actually haven't streamed in a while. I do get urges to just like stream and just like chat and stuff.
Mhm.
But I haven't really done that. I might stream randomly, but I don't really intend to be a streamer.
Fair enough.
So no, got nothing to plug.
No problem. All right. So, of course, our song of the week. All right. I played a clip of this song earlier in the episode, the very beginning of the episode, but this was actually sent in from Pick Williams. He sent in a heavy metal song that he put together himself. I don't know if he put on some metal music. I'm always worried that I call it heavy metal and it's not heavy metal. It's
rage, thrash, or gore metal.
It's
yeah, like some random like
hardcore.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really good though. I mean, you guys already heard at the beginning. It's awesome. So we're gonna play the rest of it. He says he's called it 10GP, but it has some inspirations from a bunch of different things. But you might be able to hear the Al-Kharid theme song that starts around 36 seconds in, and it continues to play throughout as well. He says he's got some more songs he's in making. So Pick Williams, please send them in if you want to have them played on here because it sounds awesome. But Deegan, thanks for coming on and tackling the rest of the episode with me.
Oh yeah,
It's
glad to
been
be here.
a long time, but yeah, it'll be. I'm sure we'll do some more down the road. Well, everyone, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you back on episode 214.
Yeah. All right. See you guys another day.